Technical difficulties. What's up? What's up, people? Just wanted to hop on here and talk about a few things. Brenton Cox was released from the team today. See, y'all already comment. Yeah, Brenton Cox released from the team today. Obviously, a five-star transfer from Georgia. It didn't contribute too much this year into this season, and he's been released today. And maybe it's locker room things. I don't know what it really is, but Billy Napier came out like an hour ago and pretty much said it's a cumulative thing. Like it's not just to play on the field. It's multiple things. So that leads me to think it's the locker room. So, yeah, man, I wish the best for Brenton Cox, but at the same time, I'm thinking like maybe this is a culture thing that he's trying to instill into people for the team. Maybe maybe he was like not good for the locker room. I don't know. But like I said, last year he looked very good under Grantham's, which I guess that's because of third and Grantham, rush, pass rush, and all that. But basically, he's not really a linebacker or a defensive end. He's more of like an edge type player, and we just don't do much of that this year under this defensive scheme. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But I figured I'd do a little bit of a Florida Georgia talk too, and just talk about how this game went really. ACC Coastal, yeah, we'll see. But just about how the Florida Georgia game really went. As we all know, Anthony Richardson got hurt. Well, seemed like he was hurt, right? He got hit out of bounds early in the game. He didn't for the rest of the game, except for the second half. Really, he didn't try to run, escape from the pocket, anything like that. So, yeah. So Anthony, that took a lot away from Florida offensively in this game. And that's really the main problem, I think, with Florida's offense. I mean, if Anthony Richardson doesn't supply the ability to run the ball, you become two-dimensional, which is crazy because you kind of talk about becoming one-dimensional passing or throwing, but you take Anthony Richardson's legs out the game. I mean, and Anthony Richardson can't really pass the ball effectively. Let's just be real. He just can't. So, I don't know. Yeah. Well, Brenton Cox is okay. Trust me, he's okay. He's healthy. He just got kicked off the team, but yeah, no, I mean the game was sloppy. I mean, Florida forced a fumble, 2 interceptions. Should have had 3 or 4 interceptions in this game. It wasn't very pretty. Couldn't capitalize on the points from the turnovers, which is really the main thing that held us back. I mean, multiple opportunities to come back in this game. I mean, it was 28-20 at one point. Defense couldn't stop Georgia. Georgia's offense didn't look the greatest. Stetson Bennett had a 50% completion percentage. Not good at all. Stetson played horrible, made some really, really bad throws. And like I said, should have had a few more interceptions than we did have. But pretty poor performance overall, really, from Florida. Just not good. And this is what I try to tell myself too. It's the number one team in the country. Calm down. You're supposed to lose that bad, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes really down to it, you saw the stat that they threw. If anybody watched the game, the stat they threw at halftime. Or was it? I don't even know when it was. But they put the recruiting rankings up, and it was Georgia number 1, number 3, number 4, number 2, blah, 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 and offensive recruiting rankings, defensively and all that. And Florida was like 25, 19, 17, 14, 20. Florida doesn't have the talent that Georgia has. They just don't at all. And you could see it in the game. You could see really when the game kicked off, I mean, how Georgia players were hitting Florida players. They were hitting us more aggressively. And maybe that's a talent gap thing. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a talent gap thing. But, I mean, they were hitting us harder. They wanted to win more than we did. In the second half, we kind of came out and played like we wanted to win pretty big. But at the end of the day, it doesn't work when you're out-talented. But anyway, Georgia hit us pretty hard a lot of times in this game. If anybody watched this game, I mean, one of the first plays of the drive, I mean, Georgia hit our running back really hard. And it's like, okay, it sets the tone when you hit players like that and you play physical like that. And that's what Georgia did. And that's another thing too. Kirby comes out and he wants to win these games. Kirby hates Florida. And I don't know how much Billy Napier hates Georgia yet. Now, after this year, maybe he establishes some of that. I don't know. But Billy Napier has not established like an actual legitimately despise and hate for Georgia that you're supposed to have as a Florida head coach. But you have to have that. I mean, you really do. But the players played hard in the second half, like I said. So, what's up, TB? Yeah, what's up? What's up, y'all? Slim Shady, Jacob Washington, Nature Boy, blah blah. Colby traveling. Yeah, but anyway, the whole point of this is really looking forward to the future. Like I said, Georgia played much better than we did. Stetson played terrible and still beat us. Georgia's offense didn't look good. They made our defense look okay, which, like I said earlier, a fumble, a forced fumble, 2 interceptions. It's great, but at the same time, you can't stop the run. You can't stop the basic things, the fundamentals that you need to do to beat a team like Georgia. But like I said, number 1 team in the country. I try to hold my breath on that, and I look at the talent gap, and I know that's really the real reason why it's such a problem. I know that. So, but as far as Florida looking forward, I'm not going to go too long here. But as far as Florida looking forward, Billy Napier didn't have much time in the offseason to attack the transfer portal, even though he did attack it in some areas, offensive line, running back Montrell Johnson. He did get some key pieces. In recruiting, definitely not much. All the players were pretty much committed and taken. He's had a whole offseason now to recruit, basically, which he's done a decent job at, and I'll talk about that in a second. But this offseason, he's going to need to really, really attack the transfer portal in positions of need, because we have multiple positions of need. Multiple. Linebacker. Let's think about it. Ventura Miller, linebacker's gone. Leading linebacker on the team. Gervon Dexter, leading defensive tackle on the team, gone. And that's the best players on the defense right there. Jason Marshall comes back for one more year. He's the cornerback. He's played decent this year. I'm not going to fault him for that, but he is a sophomore, so he can get better. But the defense, really, I mean, we're playing true freshmen on this defense this year, and we shouldn't have to do that. Not at Florida, right? So there is multiple positions of need, and I think this year, if any, with the NIL how it is and the transfer portal how it is, we need to bring in big time transfer kids. And that's the way that you fix this team for next year. Definitely. Wide receiver would be nice. As far as next year goes, we have two top 100 wide receivers coming in. That's going to help this team a lot. Probably better than any other wide receivers that are on this team now. So easily going to get better there. Anthony Richardson probably has to come back. I mean, he doesn't have enough film. His athleticism doesn't do it just by itself to go to the draft. So he's got another year of eligibility. He's going to have to come back. I mean, it is what it is. I do want to see him develop more, though. I saw a lot of times in this Georgia game where he was just eyeing receivers on this side of the field. He wasn't going through reads, anything like that. Maybe a few times, but he wasn't. He's used what it really comes down to is he's used to taking off with his legs, and he couldn't do that, so he's staring down receivers, seeing that they're not open or they're not as open as he would like, and there's not much he could do. Billy Napier's play calling was not the greatest. 3rd and 6, need to score points. You call a running play. Look, he's done this all year too. It just happened to work on Utah and other teams in Mizzou. Like he's done this all year. He's called 3rd and 5 running plays and ran the ball. It doesn't work on teams with a good defense and look, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. If it's 3rd and 5 and you need to score points, you're behind in the game, you have to throw the ball. You have to. It just is what it is. So questionable play calls there. I'll get into the offensive coordinator thing in a second because I'm definitely going to get into that. But yeah, but as far as Trevor Etienne, I love Trevor Etienne. He's becoming my favorite player on the team over Anthony Richardson, and I've loved Anthony Richardson preseason. Yeah, But the running game the running game is good. I mean, Georgia is usually that team that you can't run on, and Florida ran okay on Georgia, right? And a lot of teams have on Georgia too, right? But it just is what it is. It was a sloppy game from Florida. It was a very sloppy game. Like I said, a lot of things we could have done better. A lot of things to work on. And like I said, in the offseason, this is where it really comes in. We got A&M next week. The week after, I think, is Vandy. And then it's the week after it's A&M, South Carolina, Vandy, and FSU. So it's not the easiest of the next 4 stretches of games. So yeah. Toys, yes, you are correct. Well, that could be the case for a few coaches, to be honest. It could be the case. We don't have an offensive coordinator either. That's the whole point. Toys. Is it toys? Boys? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have an offensive coordinator. That's the whole problem. But yeah, no, it's not an easy next 4 games of the schedule at all. A&M looks like doo-doo this year, but they're they're making it close games against Ole Miss and everything. And if we played Ole Miss next week, I mean, who would win? Right? So I don't know. I mean, I know A&M's looked horrible, but as far as talent goes, if they play good defense and our defense is this bad, I mean, what's really going to happen? I don't know. Could be a close game and we could lose. So we'll see. South Carolina's getting better every single week. They beat A&M, which we have to play next week. And then FSU has been on a losing stretch, but they started off the season strong. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm just saying we could lose 3 of the 4. We're definitely winning 1. We're going to beat Vanderbilt, right? But we could lose 3 of the 4, or we could beat all 4 if something happens. So, like, if the team steps up and somehow the offense gets stuff in gear and the defense can actually, and this is obvious stuff here. Yeah, A&M has a great defense. And A-Chain is a great running back. And Florida's rush defense is terrible. So, this game really could go both, one of 2 ways, but we'll see. As far as needing an offensive coordinator, it's absolute facts at this point. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, any Florida fan should agree with this, or at least know this. But the offense is not getting better. It is not improving each week. And of any team, if you're a fan of any team, you want your team to get better week in and week out. Right? It's obvious. And that's what you should do as a team, especially coming in with new personnel. You get better week in and week out. Well, Florida is questionably, I mean, you tell me. I don't know if Florida's doing that. I don't know if Florida's getting better week in and week out. I don't know. I really don't. Like I said, Georgia #1 team in the country. I'm not trying to harp on it too much because should we have lost as bad as we did? No, but did I expect it? Yes. So it's not really all that, but man, it's just not good. Not a good look. But what I will say is, like I said about the transfer portal, we have to establish the transfer portal this year. I would like a quarterback. Florida has not got a top 50 player. So not a top 50 player in the country recruiting, right? Not a top 50 player in the country recruiting. Not a top 300 player at quarterback. So it's a good thing Anthony Richardson is coming back. But if he wasn't, then guess what? Jack Miller and what's his name in the back? I can't even think of his name right now. Jack Miller and Jalen Kitna. That's what you're left with. And it's just not. So basically what I'm saying, a quarterback transfer would be vital this offseason. Even if Jack Miller is better than them, that's fine. I mean, but you have to have something back there. You have to get a backup back there somehow. As far as defense goes, a transfer linebacker would be nice. Losing Ventrell Miller, There's a little bit of talent behind him, but not much. I mean, Shamar James, very talented, but it's not going to hold. He's a true freshman this year, and he's probably redshirting. So, what's up, Raj? Raj. But no, man, it's like I said, like we were coming into depth issues into this year, and we're losing vital players into this year, and not because of our own self. It's because of they're running out of eligibility. I mean, Ventrell Miller's been here for 6 years. I mean, he's gone. Gervon Dexter is a top, first or second round defensive lineman. He's gone, and the defensive line is just not very intact itself. So, definitely need it's going to need some help. I mean, the transfer portal better be on fire this year. It better be, because Billy Napier is going to have to start winning some games. And I'm not going to be the one to jump off ship, but a lot of these Florida fans will. A lot of them will. They're already doing it. Like I said about the 3rd and 6 run plays, that's ridiculous. Should never do that in any game that you need to win, that you need to score points to even come back into the game. You should not be running the ball on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12. I don't care what it is. If it's anything less than, or if it's anything more than 3rd and 3, I don't know why we're running the ball. Yeah, Raj, it did, didn't it? I'll show it real quick. It's a nice hat, man. It's a nice hat. Really nice hat. Yeah. I don't know that. But anyway, yeah, no, but look, at the end of the day, this is my biggest gripe, though. Dan Mullen is the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, and the head coach, and he calls plays. Even if you want to call plays, Napier, you need an offensive coordinator to at least develop these players. I mean, in the offseason, we all knew that this wide receiver core was not that great. We knew this. What's up, Zona? We knew this, and have they gotten any better than last year? I mean, other than adding Pearsall, not really. I mean, Justin Shorter is Justin Shorter. He's talented. He's a big body receiver. He's going to catch deep balls when you throw it to him, which we haven't done much, which is another gripe of mine. But and by the way, Justin Shorter's gone this year too. So Xavier Henderson is a junior. Pearsall is gone this year. No wide receivers coming back. None. Other than the backups, basically, which they haven't looked that great either. But which I rest my case. Offensive coordinator. At the very least, to help develop these players in the offseason, you need an offensive coordinator. I'm cool with Billy calling plays, even though I disagree with a lot of the play calls that he called. I disagree with a lot of them. You still need, at the very least, somebody to help develop in the offseason. And if you're going to call a 3rd and 6 run play when you're down 28-10, maybe the offensive coordinator on the headset will tell you that's not such a good idea. Let's throw this slant pass to Pearsall that we have back in the back of our brains that we know will work on pretty much anybody. How about that? Because every head coach has a play on 3rd down that they know will work against just about anybody. I mean, you know this. We all know this. Every coach has it. Jet sweeps, slant passes, whatever, a certain type of coverages, whatever. I mean, everybody knows this. So that at the very least, we need an offensive coordinator for that. But beyond that, Anthony Richardson looks the same as he did under Dan Mullen. Does he not? Does he not? I mean, he kind of does. He scrambles and runs the ball when he's healthy, and he's great at that. Whenever he's hurt, it feels like I almost said Dan Mullen. It almost feels like Billy Napier tells him not to scramble because he's hurt. He doesn't want him to get hurt more and put the backup quarterbacks in. So that's another thing. It seems like Anthony doesn't not run the ball at all, and that has to be coaching, because if he's hurt at all, he never runs, and that's an absolute fact. So, yeah, TB. Yeah, no, it's just that's just all it is to it. You need an offensive coordinator. You have 2 offensive line coaches. Billy Napier has hired 2 offensive line coaches. I'm gonna post a link if anybody wants to comment just for a second. I'm not gonna go live long, but if anybody has any input. But Billy Napier has 2 offensive line coaches, a wide receiver coach, a tight end coach, and he's the offensive coordinator, QB coach, and head coach. And in which situation have you seen this work? Has Clemson ever been the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator? No. Well, Dabo. Has Saban ever been the defensive coordinator? No. Has Kirby ever been the defensive coordinator? Or shall I say not had a defensive coordinator? That's what I should say. Have they ever not had that? Any successful coach has personnel to back them up. And an offensive coordinator in the SEC is the most important role to have other than a defensive coordinator. It is the most important role. So I'm just saying, dude, it's just some people think I'm crazy for thinking that. Like, oh, Billy Napier. This is what I've heard. Billy Napier can call the plays and coach the offense and all. Look, that's not what I'm talking about. In game, I know he can do it in game. That's fine. Even though like I've said, it's questionable at times, but in game, he can do it all he wants. But in the off season is when it's most important. This is when teams are built. This is when development happens. This is you don't play on Saturday and that's your season. Your season is in the off season. That's where it comes from. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. I'm gonna let my boy in here real quick, get a different perspective from a Georgia fan, and yeah.
What's up, Fisher, man?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. I'm not gonna troll because we do that all the time. So I'm repeating myself. So, you go in expecting Georgia to win, expecting the outcome, what it was. But here's what I gotta say with Napier.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you about the offensive coaching, calling his own plays. I mean he can do that. You saw some success with Gus Bus at Auburn. I mean, he's competed, in big games. He's competed even in the SEC championship, and he was top 20 in recruiting. He did a decent job. One thing I can say about as much as people in Florida, rag on Dan Mullen, he's a good offensive mind. Like, he sucks as a head coach. I mean, Will Muschamp sucks as a head coach, but he was a good defensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Mullen was a good defensive mind. I feel like in Florida, when Dan Mullen last year, he knew what he was doing when it came to quarterback, who was going to be QB1, whether it was Emory Jones or AR. And I think he really did believe Emory Jones was the better quarterback. And the reason why I realize the reason why I say that is because he knows what goes inside in practice. He knows, we're not coaches. I mean, we have our opinions, but we're not coaches. And it's different. So, in saying that, I feel like he put AR in the game last year just because Dan Mullen's the kind of guy to say, all right, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. I'm just that kind of asshole. You guys want it. I'm going to give you what you want and make you regret it.
Yeah, against Georgia. Yeah. Great point. Great point.
You don't put him against it, but AR stats hasn't changed really from last year. I mean, he plays maybe a little bit better. I mean, you could if you could say that.
It's not much though. You know what you brought up. You know what I thought this morning when I woke up?
What?
My immediate thought was, you know what? Dan Mullen probably would have won this game.
I think he would have kept it closer.
I think Dan Mullen would have won the game. I'm not gonna lie. With 7 games to prepare, I think Dan Mullen would have been ready and won it because of how Georgia was playing. And not to say Mullen's a great coach or anything, but I think, and not to say I want him back or anything like that, but I do think that he would have schemed his way through this game. I really do. I really do.
I think he would have took advantage of of maybe the less experienced Georgia defense in areas. It's like, some secondary and some of the front line or whatever. Oh, I think he would have took advantage of what he knew. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't. He's a good offensive mind. Don't get me wrong. And I think he would have done it. I think Dan Mullen would have switched the quarterback position a long time ago.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
I just, like I said, man, I think that people rag on Dan Mullen, but Napier has to do something. Whether he has to get some SEC coaches in there who has SEC experience, or just change up your whole staff. I mean, he has to do something because whatever he's doing is not working. Who goes?
And that's why I say, man, it's very simple.
4-6?
It's very simple, man. Just get an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. And
Florida's offense is pitiful.
I mean,
you have a dude back there that can run a 4-4. You have a dude back there that can run a 4-4. He can throw it 70 yards down the field. Yet he's not producing at quarterback. People say, "Oh, he's a tight end." Well, no, that's not necessarily true either. It's just he has not had the coaching.
Yeah,
he's not, and I don't look. I like Billy Napier so far, but Billy Napier is not an offensive coordinator, and I would dare to say he's not a quarterback coach. So that's what we're missing. That's as simple as it is. And if he wants to have a hand in the offense, that's fine. But he's not a QB coach, and he's not an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but see, that's what people don't realize. When you're the head coach, you have your hands on everything. It's not like you don't get to say don't say anything. I mean, Saban does it, Kirby does it. I mean, that's what makes separates good coaches from great coaches. And there's not many. I mean, you have Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day. I mean, those are probably your top 4 or 5.
Yeah, and you see how the way I'm complaining right now. I mean, you see these slight problems with a lot of head coaches, like Kirby with the quarterback problem, Dabo with the transfer portal. I mean, every coach has their problems, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's a definite fact. But yeah, I'm gonna let Slim in here. I'm not gonna stay on long. I said I wasn't going to because I didn't mean to. I wanted to come on and rant, but I wanted to give the opportunity for people to come in and say what their thoughts were. So
yeah.
What's going on?
What's up, Slim?
What's up, Slim?
I agree with most of what you said. I do think you're focused on some of the wrong things. I wouldn't at all be mad about a run on 3rd and 6. I mean, I've seen Tyler Van Dyke. They caught the defense slipping and pick up a 3rd and 9.
Well, that's a QB run though. That's different. If AR ran on the outside for a 3rd and 6, I'm okay. That's fine.
Okay,
yeah, but
I thought that's
not
what
like
you
a
were saying.
draw running back play.
Oh yeah.
I thought that's what you were saying. He did. It was AR running it.
No, it was the running back.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Montrell Johnson. It's like, and you're down 28-10. It's like you can't do that.
Yeah, and you don't run on a Georgia defense that.
No, especially a Georgia defense. No, definitely not.
Well, it also depends on what's happened during the game. I mean, because if you have been very pass heavy during the game, you can catch a defense slipping.
I don't know, not Georgia.
Yeah,
defense.
you can.
Past 6 years, the 6 years that Kirby's been at Georgia, there's not too many teams. I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm saying there's not too many teams you can pull. I mean, 3rd and 6, maybe 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2. Yeah, run it all day. That's fine. I trust my running back.
Teams aren't running 200 yards on Georgia, but it's not uncommon to see a 100-yard rushing game in totality. So, no, Georgia's no different being able to catch them slipping.
Yeah, it just ain't going to happen. My whole point was just the slight miscues in play calling is just not where it needs to be. I don't know what Napier was thinking. And that's it all circles back to the offensive coordinator thing. I mean, if you have somebody in your ear thinking, well, hold on, let's not run the play on 3rd and 6. I think this play could work. Like something. There's a wide receiver coach, a tight end coach, and 2 offensive line coaches. Is he on the headset with any of them? And if he is, I guarantee you they're not influencing play calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I brought this up to you before. I mean, even though Lane Kiffin calls plays, he's absolutely got a coordinator that deals with the offense and everybody during the week. and is giving him another view from up top in that box.
And that's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah, but see, Lane Kiffin's an offensive mind. I mean, he's just a beast.
Well, and Lane Kiffin can have as much hands-on as he wants to, but he has an offensive coordinator sitting there developing them in the offseason and during the week and keeping them in check and blah, 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 blah. I mean, we know this stuff. I mean, we know this. We know this.
So you guys have to beat Texas A&M. You guys have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean,
well, we have to. I don't know if we will. We have to.
They got a solid defense, and they just put in the quarterback. He looks pretty solid. I mean, he played a solid game against Ole Miss.
Yeah, he did. That's the thing. You've got one game of film on that new quarterback, and that's all that's out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean,
which is a negative thing too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not gonna really I mean, we rag on because we're different fans of different teams, but I mean, college football is college football, and I love it. I mean, I was like, what are you guys doing? You guys have like a good energy in that third quarter, and you guys couldn't keep it. I'm like, what? It's like an emotional damage or something going on in your minds,
Emotional damage. Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah, I know, dude. I know. I mean, that's how I was feeling. And like I said, there was terrible calls in that game. I mean, dog shit calls. They were horrible.
Yeah,
but,
there was 2 calls. I'm like, that should have been different.
Yeah, the one call before halftime where y'all scored off of that call, basically scored off the call. Now you could have scored anyway. I'm not saying you wouldn't, but that definitely put y'all at the 10-yard line with the pass interference call, and it's like that was ridiculous. I mean, there was no contact at all, other than the Georgia player, and they call it on us. It was ridiculous.
And the thing is, too, like people were complaining about the hit with AR on the sideline. One, he wasn't out on the.
He wasn't out. That wasn't a bad hit. It hurt him though, but it wasn't a bad hit.
But I'm sorry, but AR is a little girl when it comes to him getting hurt. A paper cut. He's like, oh, my finger, I can't throw the ball.
This is the comparison I made. Jaden Daniels at LSU. He runs all over the place and gets tackled. He don't get hurt. Anthony Richardson sure does though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I hate it, but he does.
Hey, how do you guys
feel
about?
I'm not a fan of Russian quarterbacks.
How do you guys feel? Honest opinion, and I'm gonna say my input before you guys say something. Georgia Tennessee game. I feel like I don't take nothing away from the Tennessee offense. I'm not. I feel like it's a Cincinnati Bama vibe kind of game. Like Kirby's gonna take the time possession of the ball, run the ball. They've been running great. And the defense is good enough to hold them.
Let's end it on this, but Slim, I'll let you go because I got thoughts about that.
I mean, I would agree with that game plan. I mean, it because I said the same thing about Miami going to North Carolina with the way their offense is and their defense is. Tennessee is very similar. Dominate time of possession. Keep Tennessee's offense on the sideline. That's the best way to beat them.
Yeah, because Georgia got some depth in defense. Georgia's got the depth in defense to rotate.
Yeah, I don't feel like anybody can stop Tennessee right now. I'm going to have to see it before I believe it.
Bama would have won that game if it wasn't for the 17 penalties, the mistakes.
He's got a point. Bama had to play an all-time bad game for Tennessee to beat them.
This is very true. I mean, 150 yards and penalties. I mean, it was definitely horrible. It was definitely horrible. Bryce Young played the game of his life. The amount of conversions that Bryce Young made, he's under pressure and he just goes, poop, flick of the wrist, first down. Like, he made some amazing plays. So I also think that Bryce Young played that good of a game too. I don't think it's all just that,
Yeah, and Kirby Smart is a defensive mind. He's the best defensive mind in college football, and you're starting to see the effects of Bama's defense without Kirby.
Somewhat. I mean, Will Muschamp is one of the best defensive minds in the country too, and you have him. So
yeah. I'd definitely put Will Muschamp on par with Kirby.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? No, I think this might be a hot take, but I mean, I really think Tennessee is going to stomp Georgia. I hate to say it. but I mean, unless Stetson has the game of his life, like we're talking about game of his life type thing. I mean, Stetson had a horrible game against Florida, and they almost got 20 whatever the year was Falcons on them. I mean,
Stetson, listen, I'm not a big Stetson fan, and I will tell anybody that he's an okay quarterback. When he plays good, he plays good. When he plays like shit, he plays like shit. But I mean, Georgia's still putting 3 less points per game than Tennessee. You got to look at the stats. I mean, we can't really say, Georgia's not putting up points. I mean, Georgia's putting up points.
This is true.
You know? And I mean, they have a better run game. You know, they do the whole, 5, 4 yards, 7 yards here and there with the tight ends. I mean, they're not bad.
Yeah. We'll see how this weekend goes. The one thing that I would say, which I don't know if anybody could do it, but if anybody could take Brock Bowers or Darnell out of the game, I think Georgia would be screwed. But I don't know if anybody can do it. That's my only thing.
And the offensive line is playing.
But I think you can definitely target Georgia at those areas, though.
Well, and I'll say this too. I don't really see either way it goes. I don't see a blowout. I really don't. Georgia's going to be able to slow down Tennessee's offense. And, I mean, I'm not going to say Tennessee's defense lets offenses move at will. It's not that bad. But they can definitely be exploited. And I don't think they're good enough up front, because that's the strength of their defense, to really counter what Georgia's able to do running the ball.
There's a lot. This is like Tennessee Bama all over again. There's a lot of different scenarios that could happen.
But the thing is, Georgia had, I would say, not by much. I think Georgia's defense is better than Bama's defense.
I would agree with that.
And the reason why is, I mean, if you look at the Florida game, right? Last Georgia-Florida game, we got to AR. We just couldn't tackle him. I mean, he's a big boy. And he can run, and it's hard to take down.
Yeah, and not only that, like I said, he got hit in the first quarter, and he did not run out of the pocket. I mean, he sat there in 8 sacks. Like he could have easily ran out of the pocket multiple times and got yards, and he didn't. Like I said, coaching thing. No depth at quarterback. That's why that happened.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I agree fully.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's gonna be a good game. Go ahead, Slim.
I was just gonna say, I know you're not trying to keep this long, so I'm gonna say this and hop off here.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, all trolling aside, I've got to keep a consistent argument, and when it comes to Florida going forward, I've got to keep the same argument for them that I have for Miami, because they're in a very similar boat.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get some stability with your coaches, you can't expect these players to develop and get better. You just can't.
Yeah, it's stability with coaches, players, balance on the team. And look, Slim, I mean, I can say this for my team, and I'll say it for yours too, and I think you probably agree, but your wide receivers are lacking. Other than Jalen Knighton and the other one you named, I forget his name, Creed.
Well, Henry Parrish has been the premier back this year.
But still, I mean,
Chaney Jr. is the
Chaney,
really
yeah. But still, as far as like elite talent at those positions, you're kind of missing. You got Leonard Taylor, which is a bright spot. Same way Florida has Gervon Dexter. I mean, we have bright spots, but we need more balance. We need time and good coaching. That's what we need. And this goes for Miami and Florida. That's absolutely a fact.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but at the same time, look at LSU. They're in the same position, but they're doing good. I mean, it's because I think Brian Kelly knows what he's doing. I think he's a better coach than.
I agree with that, but
they have a ton of talent though too.
Yeah, well, they both have more talent than Miami and Florida,
mm-hmm.
but you haven't had the carousel of coaches. I mean, I've said it, I don't know how many times now. Miami's on coach number 6 since they joined the ACC, and Florida's on coach number 5 in the past 10 years.
Yep.
That's not good for any program, regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. And Tennessee happened to strike gold.
Well, Tennessee's in year 2 of them as well, but let's not forget they loved old Lyle year 2 as well.
Yeah, but they lose their quarterback this year. So how good was
Exactly.
it
But guess what?
That's what it's all going to hinge on.
No matter where they go to, I don't care if they win the Natty this year. They're going to give this man an extension. They're going to pay him a ton of money.
Or Auburn.
And Hendon Hooker's going to be gone. The two receivers are going to be gone. Probably a running back's going to be gone, Jamari Small. And they're going to be left with, okay, now what can you really do with a team? Hypo. What can you really do? Can you recruit and actually develop these players and really do something with a real team and hold it for long term?
Well,
that's what we'll see.
Let's not forget, we're only a season removed of, nobody goes 3 and out faster than Tennessee. I mean, that was their offense last year. That's the only difference. They're actually putting points on the board with it this year instead of going 3 and out in 17 seconds game time.
And the thing is, you know who was the first coach to stop that explosion of fast pace? Kirby Smart last year. I mean, clearly it's a little better team offensive wise, but Kirby Smart knows what he's doing.
It can work. You saw it when Rhett Lashley was at Miami. High tempo, trying to sling the ball from one end of the field to the other. It can work, no doubt.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. And one example, and I'll jump off here, but last year Tennessee and Bama game, you look at the final score, and you're like, yeah, Bama won by 20 or whatever points. Tennessee was in that game. It was pretty much a shootout to the fourth quarter, and then Bama just completely blew it open. And why did they blew it open?
The defense.
Tennessee had no depth at defense. They had no depth anywhere. And Hendon Hooker was still getting – I mean, it was a bunch of reasons. But basically, I mean, there was no depth on the defense or depth on the whole team, really, at the lines of scrimmage too.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see.
Tennessee's different this year, though. That's for sure.
I think Georgia is like Alabama. They get better as they go. But I'll get off.
Well, and hopefully that's what Cristobal – I was going to say, hopefully that's what Napier and Cristobal can do, because they're definitely dominating.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, Florida recruiting. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah,
you know what?
Sure.
You know what the best team in Florida is? UCF.
Yeah, no, it's not. Stop it. It's Florida and FSU, and Slim happens to pop off when I say that. It's Florida and FSU, and we're going to find out at the end of the year who's better. And it could be Florida, which actually is sad because Florida sucks. So that's terrible for the state of Florida. Things are probably going to start changing, though, in the near future because of the recruiting. So we will see. Sergi, I appreciate you coming in. It's your boy. Who is in here now traveling. I appreciate
I'll let you go, man. Go Dogs.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming in, bro.
Yeah, man. No problem.
Appreciate it. Okay, I got TB in the back. Okay. Well, instead of ending the stream, it's been prolonged. What's up, bro? Can't hear you. You look like you're going through an earthquake, bro. Tornado.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, bro?
I'm about to. My bad, dude. About the recycling bin.
What you doing, bro?
Nothing, man. Out here, we just had a kid try to rob me and Steven. It was like a little Nerf gun, but he tried, and we didn't beat him up, but we just took the money he had stolen from other people. Anyways, what you up to, dude?
You good, Slim? No, I'm just ranting for a little while about Florida. My distresses and my problems.
That's a lot to rant. That's a lot to rant about.
That's a good bit.
Yeah. Now, I guess my question. Well, I'm sure you probably already covered all this, so I guess I'm going to be quick then. 'Cause I know you were about to get off. Okay.
No, you good. Yeah.
So I know we'll talk about this, but right, I want to hear your opinion. I'm a Georgia fan, and I know you're wearing a Georgia hat right now. But tell me this. Oh, yeah, I saw the G on there. I appreciate that.
No, you didn't.
So tell me this. What you think about this Georgia-Tennessee game, bro? Now that you know that Georgia has one of the top offenses in the nation, I know Tennessee's is number one, but Georgia's defense is one of the top in the nation too. Is Tennessee's defense one of the top in the nation, or do you think that's going to matter? What do you think?
It's going to matter. And this is why I can't wait to do the Wednesday night show that we do. because we're gonna break this game down a lot more. But at this point, to make it short and sweet, Tennessee looks like 2019 LSU to me, and I don't know if they can be stopped on offense.
Well, and the crazy part is, I know a lot of people disagreed with you before, and I'm not saying, oh, I agree with you, Hendon Hooker is Joe Burrow 2.0, but yes, they're scoring at a high rate. Boy, they beat the brakes off Kentucky.
They beat the brakes off of them and LSU. And look at LSU. They're about to play Bama for the West. But they beat the brakes off them.
But it's like Tennessee, which, you know what I'm going to say, though? Josh Heupel, congratulations, dude. Like, bro, Josh Heupel, who are you, bro?
Hey, but this is what I said, though, too.
That's crazy.
He's going to lose Hooker, Cedric Tillman, Jabari Small, and Jalen Hyatt this year. Then next year, we're gonna figure out how, with recruits coming in, we're gonna figure out how really good he is. How really, really good he is. Now, I ain't saying that he's got elite talent now either, but
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying last year, the man had nothing. That man had nothing. And still last year was straight. I mean, bro, he probably got the police called on him 4 times throughout the season.
Hey, did I get McDonald's for lunch? Where's my McDonald's bag? Where's it at? Damn, I didn't get it.
But you know how many players left?
They had 2 elite. They had 2 elite running backs leave.
Yes.
Eric Gray and what's his name? Eric Gray and
I forgot the other one.
I forgot the other one too, but Javonte Williams, is that him? I don't remember. Anyway.
But that's my point is people don't realize how much a scheme matters. Like, this man literally had below average roster, still went in and was like, we don't care if we're putting up 40 a game. Mm-hmm. But then he played elite teams and he couldn't do as much because of the talent gap. Well, now that talent gap is closer. And we're going to find out this week, bro. I'm not one of these dog fans that's like, oh, we're going to go in and dominate Tennessee. Bro, no, I've said it the whole season. What we're going to see is a clash of a top defense and a top offense. Now, all the people that told me in the offseason, oh, there's no way Georgia's going undefeated. You just won a national championship. Nobody's going undefeated. If Georgia loses next week, I better not hear crap because you all already told me we were going to lose a game. You told me we may lose 2. We may lose 3. Oh, you don't have that defense anymore. There's no way. So, but if Georgia wins, bro, I'm going to be so annoying. If Georgia wins.
You should be because Tennessee looked good, bro. They look good.
Yeah, I agree. I swear, bro.
I know you remember the LSU Georgia game in the SEC championship with Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah,
Georgia couldn't do nothing. I remember Joe Burrow in the pocket. He not only ate 1, not 2, but 3 ham sandwiches back there, and then threw a touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone.
Oh yeah,
I remember.
Well, and that's the thing, though. Now, I'm coming out with a video that'll say more of this, but that's my point. When we played AR-15, we had to keep him in the pocket, force him to throw because he's more of a runner than he is a pocket passer right now. Hendon Hooker is an amazing pocket passer, but he's also an above-average runner. How do you play him? I think Kirby will start out throwing some zone, just see what he does, and then he's going to disguise some of his zone with some blitz. He'll throw some zone blitzes to see how Hendon Hooker reacts. But I'm sure other teams have done it, but other teams don't have Kirby. Then again, we have not played Josh Heupel and Hendon Hooker. So for me, this is going to be one of the best matchups, if not the best game of the year as far as matchups go.
I can't wait for this Wednesday. Bro.
But look, I got to let you go. Yeah. I got to go pick up the kid I just beat up, bro. I got to take him home.
You got to take him to the hospital? Take him home?
I got to take him home.
You gonna say some other kid beat him up, ain't you?
No, I'll take it. I'll take credit, bro. It was a really good one. It was a really good butt whooping, bro. Not giving that credit to anybody else. But yeah, man, I'll let you go though. You're welcome. Wait, tell Bet I love him.
Bet TB loves you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll hit you up in a bit, bro.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
Yeah, Luke, Ty Chandler, who was I was thinking about. I started thinking about North Carolina running backs, and I was like, Javonte Williams? Nah, I didn't think that was it, but yeah, it was Ty Chandler. Yeah. I appreciate all y'all watching. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. You know I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate all y'all watching. Pretty much listening to me rant about Florida, so you know it is what it is. But it is good to have some guests come in. I appreciate that too, just to give me a little bit of outside opinion. Keep me in check, or prove me right when I'm right, or wrong when I'm wrong. So, I always appreciate that. So, but I'll see y'all later, man. Me and TB will be live. I believe it's on this channel this week and the next week. I believe it is. So we'll see. The ACC show is tomorrow. Yes, that is correct. The ACC show tomorrow with Pete and Sea-Dog. Tune into that. But we will be back Wednesday. It should be at 8:00 East, 8:00 Eastern, so 9 Central. So, Sir UJ, I'll see you, buddy. All y'all in the comments, Zona, Luke, Jay, Daniel, Bet, Nature Boy, all y'all. I appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all later, man. Appreciate y'all.